So I don't know which one of these two I'm going to start with. No, I do. I'm going to start with this one. This looked interesting. What's prison like for Jared Fogle? And the guy who's doing this video he looks like that. This might be a guy who knows what he's talking about.
Hey everybody, Larry Lawton here. I got a really good video for you today. I've been asked to update everybody on the Jared Fogle case.
For years,
This guy sounds and looks like somebody who's collected a few debts from a few people.
ate fried food and burgers that looked like this. And I looked like this. Then I found somebody
Now you look like a pedophile, because you fucking
at
are.
restaurants.
The Jared Fogle case is a
That's creepy.
pretty sad case if you ask me. He was the Subway representative who ended up abusing very young girls, and he ended up going to prison. He's now in FCI Englewood, California, and he is serving a 15-year sentence. I
think he got way too little time for what he did. I mean, he's doing a quick breakdown of like what happens if people know what he's talking about, but there was way more to it, and I don't think he got anywhere near the time he deserved.
wonder about cases like this and somebody in power like that. At what point is enough enough? I think he deserved more time. I think he got away a little bit cheap on this one, and I'll tell you why. Let me give you a little bit about Jared Fogle before we start.
Oh, no, he's going to go into more depth. Okay. This guy kind of looks like Penn Jillette. I don't know if anybody else sees it, but it's when I saw this, I'm like, whoa. Penn is an ex-con covered in tattoos now?
But before I start, please check me out on YouTube member programs. Please check me out on Patreon. Discord. We have so much coming up, everybody. We got the cigar launch coming up in a month. We have the giveaway at thatbenz.com/giveaway. That's thatbenz.com/giveaway. Check it out. All you got to do is subscribe to both of my YouTube channels. Sign up for a newsletter. You can win a cruise for 2 here in November. We also have the cigar launch coming in about 3 weeks now.
So this guy is legit ex-con. There's nothing wrong with that. Some people get crossed with the law, whatever. You know, it happens. Life happens. He seems like a relatively normal guy.
So maybe 3.5, whatever it is, it's October 1st, and I'm really excited. It's kind of excited because it's my birthday month. My birthday's October 3rd, and I'm excited. I really am. This is something I have been looking forward to for a long time. Well, I decided to do this video because a lot of people asked me to do this video, and here's why I'm really doing it. You all know my stance on child predators. They're the low of the low, the scum of the scum, and it pisses me off. Quite frankly, it just pisses me off in what goes on in our system. You know, when I was in prison, my mom said I ended up getting 4 12-year sentences for robbing jewelry stores. Didn't hurt anybody in a robbery, but I got 4 12-year sentences. And my mom used to say, you know, listen, son, you deserved your time. You were a criminal and you deserved it. But why do some child molesters get less time than you?
That's actually a very good question.
Why is that? I have no idea, and I will never understand that, because they are ruining lives at a rate people can't even understand. Listen, when you start abusing children whose brains aren't developed and a whole bunch of stuff, it's sad. Now, I often tell people, you know, I'm a very open individual, very open towards drugs and whatever it is, but it has to be adults. That's number one. It has to be adults. I am very big on that, and I'll never stop being big on that. What you want to do in your own home is great, but as long as it doesn't have to do with children, doesn't have to do with hurting elderly or something of that nature, or hurting anybody.
I agree with that 100%. Also, this guy is one of those people whose presence commands you listen, which I really like.
So I'm kind of like, in this case, I'm a little bit, got mad when I started doing all my research on the case. And I'm going to go over a little bit of it. Jared Scott Fogle was born in 1977.
Jesus Christ, there's the face of Reddit right there.
An American former spokesperson for Subway. Fogle appeared in Subway's advertising campaign.
And there's also the face of Reddit right there.
From 2000 to 2015. He went away in 2015 until an FBI investigation led him to being convicted of child sex tourism and possessing child pornography. You know, listen. I think most of us watch porn, take pictures of ourselves and selfies with people and your partners and everything else. And I'm all, hey, listen, if you're an adult, you do it. You're an adult, I get it. But I don't know what possesses somebody to, I don't know, what turns them on to a child. It really boggles my mind.
They're not attracted to the form of a child. Pedophiles are attracted to innocence. It's what it is. They're attracted to the destruction of innocence. And in a lot of cases, what they're doing is they're replicating the fucked up things that happen to them, because a lot of them are abuse survivors themselves. And that's the problem. There's a lot of lack in the research of trauma and what it does to human beings over time, depending on the specificities of those traumatic events. And I'm not justifying what these pieces of shit do at all, but what I'm saying is that if you want to know, like, what the hell is making them do that, from what we understand right now, that's what it is. It's like they got molested themselves, and then they're replicating that trauma onto other people that are children, because they were children when it happened to themselves. So the attraction is not in the form of the child. It's not in the, you know, they like, I mean, it might be for some of these people, but it's an attraction to the destruction of innocence. It's an attraction to something they had taken away from them. It's basically all just their psychology has been completely warped and totally fucked because of what happened to them. It's a control thing. They're trying to gain control over a situation they had no control in. It's what it seems to be. It's like their trauma response to it just completely fucked that up for them as adults. Completely. And this is evidence in a lot of people that are open about their experiences with that kind of thing as a kid. Like, I got molested as a kid, but it didn't do that for me. So it also seems to be dependent on the individual. It also seems to be dependent on the individual. Like, I hate bringing them up nowadays because I said I was done with this shit. But, like, with Onion Boy and stuff, he would go on these long diatribes about, like, oh, you know, like, this girl was, like, 15 years old, and, you know, she had sex with me when I was 11, and it was cool. And it's like, no, you were molested. No, it wasn't even that. She was, like, in her 20s, I think he said it was. He was, like, 11 years old, and this chick, he said, I don't know if I believe it, but if it's to be believed, he said that he was, like, you know, sexually advanced upon by somebody who was pretty much an adult. And it's like, in his stupid water brain, you know, he thinks that that's cool. It's like, no, you were fucking molested. And it goes to show me why you have an attraction to, like, teenagers and shit. It got completely warped for you. You're replicating something that you didn't have the ability to psychologically process now as an adult, and you're stuck doing that. It can happen a lot. It's all dependent on the person, as again, though, I said, because I survived childhood sexual abuse, and I'm not a chomo. I'm just fucked up in a billion other ways where I have borderline depression and just PTSD, and I'm a mess.
What turns people onto a child, especially with the ages of these young people? Well, a student at Indiana University, Fogle, lost 245 pounds between...
Dr. Benzedrine. Yeah, I love how he tries to spin it as, wow, I got laid, oh man, but he didn't get molested, though he was... Yeah, it's a denial. It's a denial. It's literally a trauma response. He's denying what actually happened by spinning it as something it wasn't. It wasn't. It wasn't sex, dude. You got molested. You got molested by a female sexual predator. If that actually happened, and because he's a pathological liar, I can't say that I believe 100% that he was telling the truth and wasn't just fishing for sympathy. But, you know, if it did, you didn't have... You physically engaged in sexual intercourse, but you were being molested. Like, he's so fucking retarded. See, that's why you can't bring points to him, because he's, like, actually retarded, and that's the problem. It's like, he's so dumb and autistic, you can't delineate between the two. He's so... You know, I think it was Joe on DP said he had a conversation like this with him once, and because of his answers were not satisfying, he didn't know what to believe about his situation. And I'm like, maybe because the conversation went exactly the way I thought it did, where you were trying to delineate between the two, and his fucking water brain wasn't capable of doing that. A former friend of mine was molested by his biological father, who forced him to drink too, but he never thought about doing the same to kids. Like I said, it's dependent on the person. For some people, it's just their response is to replicate, what was done to them. And that's something I think just needs more study. It really needs to be looked into more. There's just an unbelievable lack of research into trauma and what it does to people. Like, for the things that I experienced, and then the other things that I experienced too, with being basically physically abused and emotionally abused for years and years, like, what has that actually cognitively done to my brain? Like, what has that actually done? It's like, yes, I know the side effects that I suffer with it, but what damage did it really do?
Between 98 and 99 in about a year. Wow, that's amazing. Having frequented a Subway's restaurant as part of his diet plan. He was hired to help advertisers.
That's a weird picture. Hey, baseball.
And the following year, Fogle's popularity led him to being featured in over 300 commercials during his 15 years with Subway, alongside other media appearances. Allegations of Fogle having inappropriate relations with minors began in 2007. You would think Subway would have caught on to this. I mean,
they knew and they didn't give a fuck, apparently.
Come on. I mean, it boggles my mind. But didn't
he looks like a creepy version of Butthead? Hey, Beavis, you want to go follow some chicks around a park? No, because that's kind of creepy. Yeah. Anyway, you go enjoy your white panel van, and I'm gonna go call the cops. Yeah.
not gain traction until 2015, when the FBI uncovered that he received child pornography from an associate. Pleaded guilty to...
Hey, Beavis, do you want to go browse the dark web? I'm going to go order some drugs on Silk Road. Yeah.
To the child sex tourism and child pornography charges the same year. Fogle was sentenced to 15 years and 8 months in federal prison. He is currently incarcerated at Federal Correctional Institution.
He got butt slamming federal time.
Englewood. Now, that's a low security facility. He wouldn't make it 10 fucking minutes in a penitentiary.
When somebody like this with their demeanor, and like I said, I'm not saying anything bad about this guy. I might get a subscription from me because he seems pretty cool. But when somebody like this says that, you fucking better believe it. They know what they're saying.
And I mean that. 10 minutes in a penitentiary. That's a low security facility. He wouldn't make it 10 fucking minutes in a penitentiary. And I mean that. 10 minutes in a penitentiary. This guy Fogle wouldn't make it. I'm going to go over his child pornography investigation and arrest. In 2007, Fogle came to the attention of the state.
Beavis would probably call the cops. He's the good one. Yeah, you know that. You know that. Thank you very much. I appreciate that, by the way. Thank you very much.
Federal law enforcement agencies after Sarasota, Florida, right here in Florida, journalist and radio host Rochelle Herman Walrod told the Sarasota police.
Walrod. Isn't that just a fancy name for glory hole?
Department, he made lewd comments to her about middle school age girls.
Oh.
She had met Fogle at a local middle school for a health event as he was in Sarasota for a speaking tour. She made...
This guy, hang on, somebody posted his... Oh, I can just double-click this. His name's Larry Lawton. I'll link his channel. I'm going to subscribe right now, actually. I like this guy. His channel name is amazing. Larry Lawton Jewel Thief. That's the greatest name for a channel. Holy shit. He looks so fucking intense in this picture, but then when you see him how he is here, he just seems like a regular ass guy. I love that.
Recordings of Fogle remarks
I like his style.
And saved text messages between them, and then went to the FBI, which, you know what? Good for her. I'm glad she did that. In my mind, that's enough to listen. I don't know how Subway kept this guy on. I don't know what they knew at the time either. The FBI, where agents asked her to record her conversations with him.
From everything I understood, Subway was actually fully aware that this shit had been going on, but they were too worried about their image as a corporation and too worried about their position within that business world to give a fuck. So they did like a lot, apparently, to bury it. Like, that's fucked up. You know, they're more worried about their bottom line than the fact that their biggest face of the company is a fucking chomo. It's so fucking sick, but that's totally fucking to be expected with corporations.
And for the next 4 years, she recorded him making several remarks about having had sex with underage girls and asking her to install a webcam in her children's room so he could watch them. Ultimately, the FBI...
What a sick fuck. Yeah, no, this guy's right. This guy would not last 10 minutes in a general pop penitentiary. He would get fucking just railed by everyone, shanked. Jesus Christ. He would be fucking stomped out of existence.
I could not...
That's why they put these guys in general, not in general population, but in protective custody, because they won't last long enough to serve their sentences. A lot of guys in jail have children on the outside. And they want to see their kids again. Some of them will never be able to do that because of what landed them in jail to begin with. You know, and then here you come in having fucking violated and hurt other people's kids, and that's what you're in jail with all them motherfuckers for. Shit.
Pursue a case against Fogle using the recordings because they needed more substantive evidence against him. What more substantive evidence do you need? First of all, there is no way somebody could talk to me and say to me, to my child, hey, I want to install a webcam in your child's room without me flipping the fuck out and beating this guy half the fucking death. Sorry.
I love this guy. Holy shit. I fucking love this dude. Yes.
Sorry. That's just me, and I know I probably get a little bit angry and stuff like this. Because as
no, fathers of the world, listen up. This is exactly a role model for you. This is exactly.
people know I was abused as a young child myself. So you go one or two ways. You become an abuser, or you become very, very adamant against that kind of stuff, which I am. During the investigation into Russell Taylor's child pornography operations, another person. Authorities discovered that...
Jesus Christ, look at this fucking creepy shit. He can't even smile like a normal person. Jesus Christ. Ugh. Ugh. It's like Purvis and buttfuck over here. Jesus Christ.
Taylor had traded sexually explicit photos and videos of children, some as young as 6 years old.
Good God, what are you trying to be, Ian Watkins? Nah, he was worse by far. He fucked even babies. Even Watkins can burn in all the different levels of hell. What a piece of shit. I'm surprised he even survived in jail at all. Because what Ian Watkins did was so fucking worse. I mean, it's not to say that this isn't just, not as bad. It's like he took this to 11 for whatever reason, because he's a piece of shit.
With Fogle, Taylor, who was sentenced to 27 years in prison...
This is because of what happened to me. Some of this shit's like hard to listen to.
Was later named as an unindicted co-defendant. They do that when the guy's either telling on somebody or something of that nature. In the FBI's case against Fogle. What we found in Russell Taylor's home and on his computer led us to Jared Fogle, said Tim Horty, a spokesman for the Department of Justice.
I was, for a second, thought he said Tim Hortons.
July 7th, 2015, the FBI and Indiana State Police, where he's from, investigators raided Fogle's Zoinville, Indiana residence.
Zoinville? That's the real name of a place? It's like if you're in Scooby-Doo, where you live, Zoinkstown. Like, what the fuck? Where the fuck do you get the name Zoinville? Look at this fucking house. Jesus Christ, he looks like he could have lived in that neighborhood I was looking at earlier.
And arrested him on distribution and receipt of child pornography charges. Computers and other electronic equipment were removed from his home.
I feel bad for every single person because of... I feel bad for every single person on the digital forensics team that had to look through any of that shit.
I'm
This is
telling you, I
not
get
easy
fucking
work.
chills, people. I really, really do.
It's not
The
easy
same
work.
day, spokesman for Subway announced that the company and Fogle have mutually agreed to suspend their business relations.
There's a smut eye in Alabama. No, the fuck there isn't. I'm looking that up. No, the fuck there isn't. Smut eye, Alabama. There's no way that's a real town. Why? What? Why? Why? This is real. Why is this real? Smut Eye or Smut Eye is an unincorporated community in Bullock County, Alabama, United States, located northeast of Perote. Smut Eye is located in zip code 36061, but residents now use a mailing address in Banks, 36005. Smut Eye Pond and Smut Eye Lake are located north of Smut Eye and south of Aberfoyle. Aberfoyle, that is a name that I don't even know like what the etymology is, and you just know it's fucking southern. I live in southern Aberfoyle. Aberfoyle. You can't even say it without sounding southern. Why the fuck is it named this? According to one account, the community received its name when the local men would spend all day socializing at its blacksmith shop and return home covered in soot. Or because, like, I don't know, some women in the town to write, like, fucking raunchy fanfics of all the dudes, like, fucking hanging out in the blacksmith all day. I don't fucking know. That doesn't make any sense. That doesn't make any sense. I literally thought you made that up just to fuck with me, and I was not prepared for that to be a real place. Aberfoyle. This is southern Bullock County, Alabama. Smut Eye, Alabama. It fucking is out in the sticks. The picture on this wiki is like in the middle of bum fuck nowhere. Absolutely bum fuck nowhere. Smut Eye Grocery. It says it like on the sign out in front of the building. And it's just this busted ass, like one room tiny shack. It's probably built in like the 1800s. It's like, you know. Well, actually, we would have a county's theme song. I can play it for you here. Let me just get the banjo out and just, let's see. It's just like, you know, goddamn. Smut Eye in Buttocks County. Yeah, pretty much. Okay, let's. Do they floss with tumbleweeds? No, because that's assuming they have collectively more than one tooth in the entire county. They literally put the tooth in toothbrush because all the rest have been eroded from all the meth. What the fuck? We're listening to a guy talk about basically how Jared Fogle would get absolutely murdered in prison, and here I am fucking off about rednecks. What is this fucking stream? You live about an hour? So, since you're nearby, is it really like a boonies ass fucking the hills have eyes nowhere place? Because that's exactly like the imagery that's being conjured in my mind right now. Okay. Where did he come from? Where did he go? Whose low did he blow? Smut-eyed Joe. Fuck off. Okay, let's watch the rest of this.
Mutually agreed to suspend their business relations. How about you fucking fired him? How about you don't stand for child pornography? How about we made a big mistake by not following up on this man? And again, I don't know exactly how that went. Subway removed.
Again, it just sounds like they didn't want to worry about anything besides their bottom line, and they were more concerned with his accusations fucking their company's reputation. They really had to have covered it up, because if you think about it, with something as big as fucking what he did, and with a company like Subway still being around, I mean, you know, I guess they didn't want to get replaced by Blimpie. You ever fucking remember that place?
Removed all references to Fogle from its website. Following Fogle's arrest, the FBI also subpoenaed a series of text messages made in 2008 between Fogle and Subway franchisee Cindy Mills, with whom he was having a sexual relationship at the time. In these messages, Fogle talked about sexually abusing children ranging in the ages from 9 to 16. Told her to sell herself for sex on Craigslist and asked her to arrange for him to have sex with her 16-year-old cousin.
Jesus fucking Christ.
And I'm getting the fucking chills. The more I read this, and I read it already. Mills' lawyer said that she had alerted Subway corporate management about that text messages, but they had responded that because Fogle was not a Subway employee, there was no violation. Subway representatives said they had no record of Mills.
What does it fucking matter? What does it fucking matter at that goddamn point? He's a fucking face of your company, you stupid bunch of goddamn corporate assholes. What does it matter? Who gives a shit? Who gives a shit? You know, geez. Ugh. Anthony Scioli. By the way, what are your thoughts on Beavis and Butthead Do the Universe? I loved it, and I recognize what the fuck? I recommend. Sorry, this whole thing's fucking me up. Let me start over. Jesus. I probably shouldn't have watched this one. Anyway, what are your thoughts on Beavis and Butthead Do the Universe? I recommend everybody go check it out. I thought it was fucking hilarious. I love Beavis and Butthead Do America, and I kind of figured that if they were to do a sequel to it, it would basically, you know, just be Mike Judge kind of cash grabbing a little bit, because he's expressed interest in wanting to go back and do King of the Hill, so it would be like, eh. But it's actually really good. I quite liked it. It was funny as hell. I loved the smart Beavis and Buttheads. It's very droll, very mirthful. Yeah. Hooey Bluey. What's a Blimpie? A Blimpie was like it was the Kmart to Subway's Target. It was basically just a rip-off Subway. It was like a 90s thing. You could actually see those a lot in Kmarts and Targets. Yeah. What about Quiznos? I actually liked Quiznos. They had a Philly cheesesteak I think I had at one point there that was actually quite good.
There is enough here in my mind. Obviously, they gave him 15 years and 8 months in prison in Englewood. You know, what they did to Whitey Bulger, which I have no qualms about, is take Whitey Bulger and put him in a federal prison, and he lasted, I just read a new article that he lasted like 12 minutes. 12 minutes. Whatever it was, 12 hours, 12 minutes. Whitey Bulger didn't last because he was a snitch. And a guy named Freddie Geese and a couple others, they killed him, and now they're up on charges on that. And I think the federal government messed that one up as well, but that's a whole nother video. This video is about Fogle and what do I think is happening to him. Now, sadly, a low facility prison has a lot of child molesters, child porn people. In fact, my brother David, you all know here, was in Laredo. And Laredo was a low facility at the time. And
that's a strikingly normal building front that I wasn't really expecting for a huge prison. That looks like the front of like a hospital or doctor's office, and then right on top you just have all this shit.
And they tried to house a child molester in the same room as my brother. Ooh. My brother wouldn't have it. He ended up beating the guy with a lock because he told him, get this fucking guy out of my cell. And they wouldn't. And my brother ended up beating him pretty badly. And he ended up coming to a prison of Allenwood. He was transferred back to a medium. He left the medium, which was Jessup, Georgia, when his points went down. And he ended up going to Laredo. Laredo had a lot of child molesters. A lot of these low federal facilities have child molesters and snitches. And the reason they do is, one, because they're not a violent facility per se. I mean, it can get violent. Any prison can get violent. But they're not a violent prison per se. Believe it or not, there's no way I never was at a low facility. There isn't a chance in fucking China that I could fucking go to a low facility and be housed with child molesters. Listen, don't get me wrong. I am sure. I made it to a medium facility. And I'm sure there were undercover, what they call child molesters, and people who do certain crimes that to me is just, I hate to say unforgivable, because I hate to be like that kind of a person. But when you are having sex with a 9-year-old and have pictures of a 6-year-old, I don't know what fucking twisted dimension you have. You all know me as a very open individual who is very forgiving, non-judgmental. But when it comes to child pornography or child sex, I am sitting here telling you, I don't care what you do as an adult. Whether it's group sex, gay porn, straight porn, bi porn, I don't care. Have fun. You're an adult. Nobody should tell you what to do in your own home with adults. Did you hear me? With adults.
I fucking absolutely love this guy.
Once the person comes of 18, and I still think that's young, but once a person comes of age, obviously they can make better choices. They put people in the military at 18, so you hope people can make better choices and not engage in whatever sex they have or be able to defend themselves. You see, what happens is with a guy like this Fogle guy, he's powerful, he has a lot of money, he's manipulative, obviously.
I did.
And I don't know the level of force, but what turns in a fucking brain of a person to enjoy a picture of a prepubescent, I think that's the word, prepubescent child. Listen, I have a granddaughter and I have a grandson, and my granddaughter's 6 and my granddaughter is 4. I can't even imagine what I would do if somebody did something like that to my child, my grandchildren, or my children. I often tell...
I can easily imagine what this guy would do to somebody who did something like that. It'd probably land you back in prison. You would be entirely justified in doing it, but I can easily imagine what it would be.
People that one of the biggest fears I had in my life was when I was in prison and I had a 15-month-old daughter and a 7-year-old son. And what would get me up thinking and get me riled up, if you want to call it that, is something happening to my children at the time, who were 7 years old and 15 months old, and even as they were getting older, 8 and 9 and 10 and 1, 2, 3. What I would do if something like that happened. I can only say this.
This guy had a lot of kids.
I guess I'm lucky I was never put in that position, because I probably wouldn't be here on YouTube. I probably wouldn't be around. Now, I often tell young people, don't let these people control your life. Don't let something that happened to you. I was abused at, say, 11 years old, and it took a long, long time for me to come to grips with that, to not blame everybody in the world, not blame myself, and I had to get over it, and I had to become stronger for it. And I always believe...
God, dude, I'm surprised that I've never heard of this guy before. I really, really love this kind of content. I love that you can just be this open with having all this stuff that's obviously happened in this guy's life. Like, just to be this... And to come around and change, like... See, he was a jewel thief, huh? That's what basically his channel says. I'm going to watch a lot more, because this guy, I would love to go, like, on a deep dive. This guy seems so interesting. He seems like a cool-ass guy.
When people have some adversity...
He also seems like he'd be a hell of a great bodyguard, because, Jesus Christ, look at the shoulders on this motherfucking Goomba. Fuck.
They have to take that adversity and become stronger for it. Maybe teach some other people about it. I just, at this case has got me pretty hot and bothered about of what happened in this case. It really does. I don't want to harp on it, but Jared Fogle, sadly, is probably living a normal life in prison, as normal as you can. Obviously, I hope there was fines and stuff that made this man a pariah. He's going to be a sex offender when he does get out. He went to prison in 2015, so he's in there approximately 7 years. So he's got about 7 years left, so you can look for his release about 2029. If I'm around, I will be reporting about that as well. But I don't want people to think that, I'm an unforgiving person. In this case, I really am. Because I don't find justification in any way, shape, or form. There's no way a 6-year-old or a 9-year-old, supposedly he had sex with, which the lady had text messages with, can manipulate him into sex. I often talk about abuse, and I often talk about a 19-year-old young man and a 17-year-old young girl, and that's technically a sex crime. But I don't consider it a sex crime, and none of us in prison did. But there's also a code in the federal system that if you had sex with somebody under 12, you get a different code, and there was no excuse whatsoever, no shape or form that can be justified in any way, shape, or form. And I wouldn't. I wanted to bring up the Fogle because I got emails, what is happening to him, and is he getting abused? Is he having a tough time? From what I hear, and I do have contacts on the inside, no, he's, I guess, living if you want to call prison a normal life, or a normal life of a convict. God forbid that man gets in some kind of trouble and goes up to a medium or a penitentiary. Forget a penitentiary. If he goes up to a penitentiary, he doesn't last a day. Not one day in prison. He does not last. So with that said, with my contacts that I do have, and I do have contacts in prisons all over the country, I'm not hearing the ding. Listen, it's such a torn topic for me because of being abused and seeing him. And, I have a young man that's his family who's a fire paramedic, and he saw infants being abused, and that's got to be the most traumatizing thing in the world. Innocence has to start somewhere, and I think it should start with our youth. A country should be judged on how it treats its elderly, its infirmed, and also its incarcerated. With that said, everybody, please make good choices. Please comment below. I'm going to be reading these comments. This is
I got nothing. I've literally just sat here and watched this with you. I have nothing to say.
Topic that can get to me, but I need to do that. It's my own therapy. And I really want to thank you guys for watching. Please pass it on. Please have a great day. Make good choices, and I'll see you Thursday.
This guy's so wholesome. Oh God, I like this. This guy's great. That's great. Yeah. All right, let's see. So I